Hello there, Margarita here, and welcome to the Rise Up with Margarita show. And every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, I have my Rise Up with Margarita show every Monday to really help those light workers, the new light leaders, rise up into the next level of their power. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Margarita Alcantara. I am an activator for the new Code of Power, and I help the new emerging leaders of light activate the new power on this planet, shift the paradigm of power, and awaken the planet. So, if you're just joining us now, welcome, welcome. And so, every week I talk about a very specific topic that is dedicated to those emerging leaders of light who are here to step it up in the world and really help lead the light on the planet, to be honest. So, today's topic is the number one thing that shows up when you up level as a light worker. So before we even begin, it was so powerful because I just got off day one of the Become Unleashed in 2022. We just had our day one today, and it was so powerful. Oh my God, I'm still juiced up from the activation. It was amazing. And everyone had really powerful declarations of what they wanted to experience and what they want to expand into for their vision of what's to come in 2022. They were very specific about what they wanted to clear. It was really powerful. And some of this was also past life stuff. So, I mean, that was really courageous and brave because there's a lot of stuff that goes on that we carry on into this lifetime. So it's just really powerful to then transform that so that you can then be empowered in your life now. So, excuse me. That was amazing. It was such an amazing day one already. I can't even wait for day two tomorrow. So, if you were there, thank you for being there. You are awesome. It was so powerful. So, today's topic, like I said, it's the number one thing that shows up when you up level as a light worker. And so, I wanted to share this topic today and talk about it today because this really kind of comes between those light workers who are disempowered or who are invisible, and those light workers who are visible, empowered, showing up in the world and becoming successful. And it's really that difference between the one who isn't and the one who is. And this is not about competition, of course. This is about really just seeing where you're at and where you want to go, because from where you're at and knowing where you're at, you can then make a decision about how you want to move forward. So it's very important. So, I mean, I'll just get into it, right? The number one thing that shows up when you up level as a light worker is that fear, right? It's the fear, the ego will pop up, the ego will come up and say, you can't do this, you can't handle this, you're not capable of this, all this dialogue that starts to go on, right? So all of your triggers and all the pains and the fears, that will come up guaranteed every single time you level up into the next level of it, right? And if you aren't feeling that discomfort when you are going up to the next level, then either you're not going into the next level or you're playing it safe, right? And so, because when you're doing it right, you are petrified. So you will feel that challenge, and there's going to be something that's going to come up within you that's going to be like, oh gee, can I make this happen? Can I do this? Is this possible for me? Right? And I see light workers talk about, well, that's not something that's possible right now, or I can't do that right now, or I'm unable to do this right now, right? But whenever you say that, you're actually identifying with the fact that not everything is possible for you. And when you're really a light worker who is connected to your energy and connected to your power, you do know that anything is possible all the time. And so that's really important. Valerie's sharing, you don't know enough, you aren't healed enough yet, you're just not enough yet. Right? Yeah, that's the ego talking. And that's what the ego will say, not because they're mean or something, right? But that's that part of you, because it's a part of you, it's not some disembodied experience, right? It's a part of you that is saying, wait a minute, something's dangerous about this, right? And the whole thing is that it's dangerous to the ego because it's no longer going to be in control of everything. And it shouldn't, right? Like, you get to be in control of what you create in this world. And but when you're operating from that fear state and that ego state, it's really hard to be connected to that, I'll just say. Right? So, but that's one thing that will definitely pop up every single time you up level. And as soon as you start to approach that next level of your power, is that all the stuff is going to come up. So, anywhere where you have anything left unhealed, anything where you feel you're incapable of something or anything like that, all of your stuff is going to come up and come out when you are up leveling into the next level of your power as a light worker, guaranteed. And it doesn't matter like how advanced you are in this, right? If you are dreaming big enough, if you are stepping up big enough, if you are being honest with yourself about how big your powerful purpose is, you are going to be petrified no matter how self-actualized you are, right? And there's always, I think the saying goes, new level, same devil, right? And that's really what it is that it's not that you still feel instigated in fear in a massive, massive way as you progress and get better at this, right? Like you just can pinpoint it much more quickly. You see it for what it is, and then you transform it really quickly so it doesn't then take you out as, something that will distract you from what you're here to do. So here's how invisible light workers will view those challenges that you might meet up against or that you will meet up against when you are stepping into the next level of your power versus how empowered light workers experience it. And I'm sharing this with you because it's important to know the difference so that you can kind of see where you're at, and then also to see where you're keeping yourself stuck, right? So invisible light workers, when they hit a road bump, they immediately say, oh, okay, this is a sign from the universe. This is not meant for me. I'm not meant for this, and I'm not capable of it. This is just evidence. And their energy will constrict. They will start to choose their need to feel safe over service, and they'll stay stuck. So that's what invisible light workers will do, right? So the empowered light worker, on the other hand, when they bump up against a challenge between them and the next level of their power, what they do is they get curious. They get curious about, oh, that's interesting. What is that? If it's something that's familiar to them, like, the same old stuff that might come up every single time you're up leveling, then you already know how to handle it, right? Or they also just really get connected with, okay, that's interesting. So that didn't work out. Why is that? And not from a place of, well, I don't have what it takes, right? That's what the invisible light worker will do. They'll say, it's not in the cards. The universe is speaking to me saying it's not for me. And it's not that it's not for you. It's just that you're stopping when you stop and when you quit before the breakthrough happens. That's what happens between invisible light workers and empowered ones. The empowered ones, it's not that they're special. It's just that they keep going. And so that's really what's required when you are stepping up. And so that requires you to really be in the energy of, oh, okay, what is this really about, right? What is this? What's required here? That's what an empowered light worker would say. They'd say, what's required here so that I can achieve that goal that I wanted, right? So how can I figure out this situation so that I can get what I want around the situation? And if you're a light worker, it's always going to be about what is it that you want to create? What is it that you're here for? And Lamorla on Facebook, she's saying, yep, keep going. Yeah, it's about keeping going. It's about just consistency. It's about just consistently showing up and not making this about you. Because when you make it about you, you're going to be like, oh, well, that's because I'm not good enough. Or that's because I don't have what it takes, or it's because I suck, or, something like that. That's an internal story that is created that is not based on reality, right? Whereas the light worker, they don't go there with all of that, outdated story stuff, right? Like they've already addressed that, they've already healed it. And then the next level looks like, okay, well, so that didn't work out. Why is that? Like, they get to be more resourceful. They get to figure it out. That's what empowered light workers do. They figure things out so that they get that end result. Um, and uh, and that's really what they do. And they also see it from a place of possibility, not from, oh, okay, well then that's it. I don't have any access to this, right? That's what the invisible light worker does. The empowered light worker says, well, okay, so this didn't work out. I know someone else who can help me with this, right? Or I know a different way. I know a different way to access this. And they get resourceful because oftentimes what is required for you to get to the next level is for you to do something different than you've ever done before. Because if you are wanting to step up into the next level of your power, but you don't want to change anything about your life right now, then nothing is going to change. It just won't. You won't get to that next level because that's not how it works, right? In order for you to really get to the next level, that's going to be a place of expansion and elevation that will require you to believe in yourself, that will require you to do new things, that will require you to do things differently and to step up and be resourceful. And that all of that takes you to the next level, right? So it's not just that, oh yeah, I want to go to the next level and then bam, you're there, right? It's like you get to make it happen. Of course, you set the intention for it and then you make it happen so that you can achieve it, right? So that's so, so important. And so what really comes up when this fear shows up on your light worker path? So it means that you've reached this level where it's time to step up and grow. So usually what happens when you are feeling like, there's got to be something more than this, like I feel like more expansive than this, um, then that's really you bumping up against that next level that you're here to create, right? And be in. And so in order for you to be in that next level of that frequency, it is going to require a different version of you to step up. Meaning, not like you need to be this, guru or anything. That's not what I'm getting at, but it's this experience of who do you get to become in order to get to that next level. And it's not about, achievement or, that kind of thing. I mean, if that's what you want, that's totally fine, right? But what I'm getting at here is that if you want to get to the next level of your power, not only so that you can be in your power, feel better, be happier, feel more joy, be more connected to your heart, but also to make more impact in the world, helping people, leading your movement in the world, putting in mechanisms and systems into place so that they happen, getting the support team that you need so that it can happen, and putting things into place so that your vision comes to light. That requires you to keep up leveling into the different aspect of yourself. That's still you, but it's the next level you. And so if you see what I'm getting at, it's you start to become that version of yourself that is required of you in order to be at that next level. But if you're expecting to get there just because you want it, it doesn't work that way. You actually you get to put some skin in the game, right? You get to do some work around that. So that means, and here's the thing is that when it comes to entrepreneurship, meaning anytime you are creating, leading your movement, having your business that's spiritually conscious, it is a lot less about your energy work and what you're providing in the world, and a lot more about your self-development, and a lot more about doing the inner work, and a lot more about clearing it out, and a lot more about stepping up into a type of, like having some rigor to who you are, like having some, gathering some grit around things, right? It's very, very important. So that's then going to start shifting you. And also because that's what you want, right? You're going to want that new level. So you get to shift into what that looks like. So that's very, very important. Danielle, I believe, is saying, I love listening to this while I'm creating. You're welcome. Yes, yes, Olivia. She was there at the day one today. She says, "Thank you, Margarita, for activating the light and illuminating my incredible path. Feeling all the feels after that amazing workshop." That's amazing. With gratitude, Olivia. I appreciate that, Olivia, and that's so awesome that you were there. So I was talking, today's topic is about the number one thing that shows up when you up level as a light worker. So I mentioned all those old triggers, the fears, the panic, the ego trying to keep you safe, right? And I mentioned how invisible light workers view it versus how empowered light workers view it. And I'm also going now into what it really means when it shows up, when this shows up on your Lightworker path, and what it's really telling you, right? It's not giving you some kind of personal judgment about how you're showing up in the world, right? Like, oh, Margarita doesn't get it, so she doesn't deserve her purpose, right? Like, it's not that. That's not what's going on. What's going on is you get to be that version of yourself so that you can access that next level. So if you're bumping up against an obstacle, first of all, get curious about if you're having some resistance around that next level. And if you are being super honest with yourself, then lean into it. Very important. Lean into your fear and your resistance, because that will always provide you deep, deep wisdom. And then you start to make the shifts within you around what it is you believe you're capable of, what it is you believe about yourself, and shifting those identities that are connected to you being limited on any level. So that's really important to be connected to and to be aware of. So let me know if this is resonating for you, and if you have any questions about what I'm just sharing right now around this up leveling and how that looks like and how that feels like. Because, like I said, when you up level, it's not just about, oh, I want to up level. I want to have all the, whatever the successes, the major impact, feeling good about myself. That happens not through like some magic wand. It happens because you've shifted yourself within to become what is required of you at that next level. So that's so important. Okay, I'm seeing a question here. How do I get out of one step forward and two steps back? I'm clearing blockages, but feel like I'm getting nowhere right now. So that feels to me like there's some resistance. It feels like they're like sure you might be doing some steps towards clearing, but there's something that you're not clearing. That is kind of like the pivotal thing, And so I feel like you might get to go under the hood, so to speak, and really connect with it, what it is you're not allowing yourself to really clear out, and what it is you're afraid of, because that'll give you a lot of information. Because the reality is that when you're really truly doing the work, it gets done. So usually when someone is like, well, I'm doing the clearing work, but nothing's going on, you're still having an attachment on something. You're still attached to something. There's still something about it that you don't want to fully let go of. So that's really, and I'm not sharing this to point this out to you specifically, right? It's more like this is actually a common pattern that a lot of light workers, when they're first getting to learn about what it is they're here to create, they're like, yeah, I'm doing the work. But then they're just like avoiding a certain something so that they don't have to deal with it, right? So just kind of look into that. That might be helpful to you. Okay. So someone's saying, is this why I'm just acting like lots of stuff going on? Not sure what that means. Not acting, but something going on. Okay, still don't know what that means. Okay, so let's see. Is there a story you're comfortable sharing from one of your own shifts for inspiration? Yeah, actually, I just shared it in the day one call, a story. And although I can't really share the other aspects of the day for obvious reasons, right? Because there was a big activation, a lot of channeling and journaling and powerful portal opening. But I did share a story about shifting from ego. And so one was really about, um, when I had a day job, and that, I don't know, that was like over maybe 13 years ago now or something. So I had a day job. I stayed in it even though I was unhappy. I didn't like it. I did it was basically sucking out my soul, like that's how I viewed it. It was like, I didn't like it, I wasn't growing. But I stayed there because of the steady paycheck, of the every 2 weeks I was getting a steady paycheck. It was giving me some kind of insurance package. And I always knew that it would be there for me, right? So I stayed there because it was stable, right? But that's a very strange definition of stable, because if you want to just keep doing something day in, day out because it's safe and it's something that's way different than being in the stability of your power and of your light. So that's really, really important, right? Is really understanding that if something's not resonating for you, why are you still there, right? And so for me, it was because I at least knew that I was going to get a paycheck. And honestly, the real truth about this, and the real truth for a lot of light workers who don't really do their work full time, is because they don't believe in themselves. They just don't, right? And so what happened for me was, I'm trying to remember. So what happened for me was, I was continuing to stay there, working at this dead end job that I hated, that was sucking out my soul. And I want you to get that for a moment. I was choosing to stay in a day job that was sucking out my soul rather than be in the discomfort of my power. That's what I wanted to do, right? That's what I chose to do. So I just stayed there, hating my job, and probably being in a victimhood around that, right? Okay, just checking out some of the comments here. And so what the game changer was for me was that I went through a very painful breakup, and it was so earth shattering that I was just like, what the hell am I doing with my life? What the hell am I doing? I'm stuck. I'm at this job, and I'm not stuck there. I was choosing to be there, right? You're not stuck at a job. You chose that job, right? And so I'm just like, this means nothing to me. This job means nothing to me. I don't like being here. It's sucking out my life force as we speak. I don't want it, right? And it came to a point where I'm just like, I'm done doing shit that honestly isn't aligned for me, And so that's when I started, renting out my room at first, at my private practice in the wellness center. And then it grew to being full-time, and I was seeing patients back to back as an acupuncturist and a Reiki master teacher. And so, yeah, and then I started making six figures, and then, I've shared that part of the story before, right? So the reality is that nothing will change until you change. So for me, it was about, okay, well, the pain of my heart being broken was more than my pain to stay at that job. And the reality is this: you will not choose something just because it's better for you. If that's really the case, then you'd done it a long time ago, right? You would have done it a long time ago. What people will move away from is their pain. They're more motivated from leaving their pain than going towards what's for them. I mean, unfortunately, that's how a lot of humans work, right? So for me, I just wanted to get out of the pain of living a life that was inauthentic, pretty crappy. I wasn't happy. And yes, I was getting a paycheck, but was it enough? Was it really enough? No, it wasn't. If my soul is getting sucked, no, it's not really worth it. So then that's when I did. That's when I chose, even though I didn't really have something's set in place, you start somewhere. That's where you start, right? And this is something that I actually help a lot of my private clients with too, whether they're just starting out or they're more advanced and already have a business all set up, right? Is there's always a next level and there's always a next transformation. And and it's also really helpful just to have like a coach and mentor by your side to be like, oh yeah, I've been where you're at right now, and here's an awesome next step that you could take, or really going into what's next for you, right? So that's what happens when you get invited to the next level of your power. Either you get shoved out into the cold with no clothes on, and then you're just like stuck there, and now you're already in there, which was kind of like my way of doing things back then, right? It's more like just keep on plugging away at crap and keep settling for crap and then complaining about the crap until you're like, I don't want to be in the crap anymore, right? And so that's where you get to shift. And again, there are many levels to this. Whether you're beginning and just starting out, or you're already seasoned doing, your spiritually conscious entrepreneurship for a while now, there's always a next level. And so it's always a warning sign, a big flag for me when I'm speaking with a light worker and they're like, I'm already in my power. It's like, are you really? Because if you really are, you would not be so comfortable. You would not be comfortable. And this is not just simply about being in discomfort, right? It's about doing the actions that take you out, right? So I'm seeing here, Lamorla was mentioning my current situation on my job, right? And the reality is that you can either settle or you can live your life on your terms. And that's up to you, right? I'm not going to tell you you should do this and you should do that about that, because that's a personal sovereign choice that you get to make. So if you want to stay at that day job and be under this illusion that you're taken care of, that you're safe, you can choose that. And also understand the consequences of choosing that if you have a really powerful light worker purpose and you're settling for paper pushing, right? And I mean, for some people, that's fine, but if you are here watching me now, most likely you've got a huge purpose in the world. And if you're not doing it, I'd ask yourself why, right? And if you start saying, oh, my boyfriend doesn't approve, or my husband doesn't like this, or my boss doesn't allow it, or these people take up my time, or, whatever, right? If you start outsourcing your power, which is what that is, when you complain, then you're not taking any responsibility for everything you're choosing. So you get to make a choice about what it is you want to experience. So if you want to stay at your job, then you get to stay at your job. And also you get to have the energy around that, right? And if you don't want to be there and you want to be in your spiritually conscious entrepreneurship, then that's a different energy and you get to be there too, right? So very, very important. So I hope that helped. I kind of shared a little something that I thought was really, really important about that. Okay. So someone's asking, hey, just joined, not sure if this has been covered yet, but is depression part of this process? I find myself extremely sad, which is abnormal for me, and I have no reason for my sadness. Well, that makes sense to me if you're doing the work, and here's why. If you are doing the work, going into those places of resistance, going into those places you're afraid of within yourself, doing the work to be at peace with all of that, whether it be, clearing out, integrating, loving all these aspects of yourself, all that stuff. If you're doing that, you're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of things that have been very safe for you. Like maybe they've been not aligned, and maybe not okay. Maybe it's unhealthy even, but it's been safe. It's been what you've known, right? So if you're letting that go, there is a grieving process. And so that is to be expected. So let yourself grieve. Like don't, give yourself an expiration date to eventually move on with yourself, right? But this is one of those things where there is some grief there. So there's that. So I hope that helped. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of these expressions that I'm noticing here, a lot of people sharing, yeah, I'm feeling really the emotions and all that stuff. So, you might want to check out last week, because I feel like there was something there for last week's show that was very helpful. And so I'm just gonna yeah, so last one, it was the last Rise Up with Margarita show was the top 5 energy drains for light workers and what to do about them. So you might want to check out that replay because I do cover some of these things about, what you're picking up from the collective, what you may be experiencing personally. And so there's all of these different dynamics. It's not just simply, I'm sad, right? Like there's some other stuff going on. And if you're doing the work, like I said, then you're going to be releasing, you're going to be grieving, and make sure that you don't just continuously grieve over and over until the end of time, right? Like there gets to be an end date, an expiration of that. And it's quite possible you're picking up on the collective's fear because there's a lot of fear going on and a lot of grief going on, and it's up to you to really take care of your energy to really withstand all that, right? And not from a place of needing to fortify yourself kind of thing, right? But just like to be in your power. Because when you are truly in your power, it's not about protecting yourself from everybody, right? And not like putting up all the shields and, wearing all the crystals. And I mean, I love my crystals, right? And I have my techniques, but what really becomes the protection is just you being in your power. And it's not about the logic of being in your power, okay? Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm in my power. Yeah, but maybe this is a good day for you. How are you on your bad days? Right? If you're really in your power, you are not just having these channels like by chance, or you're not getting your epiphanies by chance, or on a good day, or it's not just like always only there on your good days. It's what you're cultivating on a regular basis in your life. So I hope that makes sense to you. So I'm seeing Jess's comment here. I'm scared to be in my power when creating resources and materials for my business. It means I have to try. Been feeling quite resistant to it. When I sit down to work on my business, I feel stuck. Yeah, well, there's definitely that resistance, right? So you get to go deeper into why are you resisting that? You know, because you can try to put systems in place, get materials for your business, but if you are not coming from a place of you get to do this, instead I have to do this, which is what you shared in that blurb, then that's the shift you get to make, right? You're seeing this as, oh God, I gotta do this, right? And if that's how you're approaching your purpose, that's something you get to check. That's something you get to explore. Why is it that you approach it that way? Because the reality is that it's not that our purpose is always peaches and roses all the time, right? And traipsing through a prairie, right, with like you know, flowers in your hand, right? That's not the reality of how it works. You will have your bad days and you will have your good days. Um, but when you're really cultivating your power and allowing yourself to see what's coming up for you and not resisting it, but instead leaning into it and saying, okay, what's the wisdom it's trying to tell me? Then you're getting somewhere. You get to have some curiosity around this. Ellie's saying, nothing will change unless you change. Thank you so much for sharing this. Yeah, you're welcome. It starts with you, right? Like all the people who are like, I want change in the world now. I want to see peace in the world now. I want to see people like being awesome to themselves now, right? Well, look at your life first. Are you doing that for yourself? Are you showing up in peace for yourself and your life? Are you cultivating that in your life? Are you cultivating your power and your light in the world so that you get everything you want? And if you're a yes, awesome, keep going. If you're not, go there first instead of looking and pointing fingers at everyone else, right? Because that's the thing is that when you heal yourself, you also heal the world. But when you're kind of coming from an unconscious state of not being aware of whatever you're creating, saying, doing, acting, feeling, then that will create another experience in the world, right? And so this is not to be like, all of it is on you, right? Because I mean, we're all in this together. And if you want to see something outside of yourself, such as peace and love, Be that for yourself. And I don't mean just like sitting on your couch and being just love and light to yourself all day, right? I'm saying amplifying your light, taking the action, being aligned with what you're creating in the world, and making things happen so that you're actually helping people in big ways and you're doing things that are uncomfortable for you so that you get to serve. That is the approach, right? Okay, so I'm seeing a comment here and I'm just going to speak into this. So I'm seeing this comment that says, why does all of this have to be so hard though? Like, seriously, why? So my question to you is, what would you be like without your victimhood? Because that's what's showing up right now. And that's why you're not getting results, because you're in the victimhood of why me? Empowered light workers look at their situations because they have crappy days as well. Like everyone has crappy days, And you get to still be in your power in some way. And when you are, you see that everything you are creating in your life, you are 100% responsible for. When you are starting to approach life that way, we can revisit that question. All right. Okay, Baniston is sharing, I have shifted the fear and I have been showing up and putting myself out there. And I have been working on my own stuff as it comes up, but I'm still struggling to know what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's good you're shifting the fear and you've been showing up and putting yourself out there. Here's the thing though, is that you're kind of going backwards with that, right? Meaning that you first get to be connected with your purpose, what you're here to create, and then you go out and put yourself out there, right? Because if you're just putting yourself out there, like for instance, taking social media as an example, for instance, if I were not connected with my purpose, my mission on this planet, and I just started putting stuff out there on social media, it would just look like, I would imagine someone would be looking at my social media feed and being like, what the heck is this woman talking about? What is she doing? Right? That's because I'm not connected to my purpose. So you want to connect with your purpose first, and that, I'm not going to go deep into all that because that's more of an inside job, right? That's not something that I help folks with necessarily, because that's something that happens from a discovery within yourself and a discussion with your higher self. And that discussion with your higher self comes by connecting with your light, being still in yourself, and getting connected with the intel from your higher self. And then when you're really in that, bam, it comes in, you're connected, you realize, and it's usually something very similar to what you are always attracted to, naturally good at, and that kind of thing. But it's a lot deeper than that. So that's what I'll say about that. From that place of being connected to your purpose, then you can expand. Then you can put yourself out there and on social media, make the videos and all this stuff, because your message will be cohesive. If you're just throwing stuff out like wet spaghetti and hoping it sticks to the wall and we'll see, right? Then it's kind of like, who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it won't, you know? So I hope that helped. And that's so true. It's like it's awesome that you are showing up, get connected and aligned first, then show up. Because that way it's just so much easier, right? So much easier. And for those who are my private clients, they already know that, because they come to me already connected to their purpose, because they already know that's not something that I'm going to help them connect to from the very beginning kind of thing. But one thing that happens when we do the deeper work together, and also, by the way, I don't do single sessions. I provide like experiences, mentorships, and things like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can DM me what your powerful Lightworker purpose is, and we can have a discussion. But getting back to the point at hand is that your messaging gets so much easier, and just your life gets so much easier when you get clear on your purpose first. And sure, there might be like a couple things that might add flavor to your purpose. We're all multidimensional beings. And there's usually a theme of what that is. So yeah, that's something juicy you get to dive into. Cell Seagull is saying, I got selected on my desired college and studying the subjects that I want, but I'm feeling draining and pushing hard every single day. It feels really uncomfortable. I'm happy, but it's hard to work. So my understanding is that it sounds like you're now going into some coursework that is calling you forward and making you like kind of rise higher and rise to the occasion, so to speak. And if that's the case, good on you, right? That's how it goes. Whenever you learn a new skill, and this is like whether you're still in college or you've graduated or anything else, right? And particularly when you're entering into the next level of your power, excuse me, as a spiritually conscious entrepreneur, is that you get to be open to the new skills you get to acquire. Sometimes it's just subtle, like, some interpersonal skills, or maybe you're just clearing out some old money beliefs that aren't serving you anymore. Or it could be something bigger. It could be like getting skill sets and things like that, right? So I hope that helped. Okay. All right. So I think these are really great questions. And what I'm really loving about this is more so that you guys are engaged with your light, with what you want. You're curious about it. You're asking questions. You're making observations. You're seeing how this fits in for you, if at all. And so that's how you connect with your power. You get curious. You start delving in there. You look at things that you haven't wanted to look at. And yeah, that's how you start to uncover it, right? And when it comes to what I was sharing, which is the topic for today, the number one thing that shows up when you up level as a light worker, just remember that fear, that panic, that anxiety that pops up right before you're about to reach that next level, or when you're being invited to that next level of your power. As a powerful light worker in this planet, it is going to show up. The panic, the anxiety, the fear, and that's usually mostly fear, due to fear of change, or fear that you might be not getting what you want, or maybe fearing that you don't have what it takes to get what you want. Whatever your dialogue is, that's the work. That's the work. Get curious about that. And so that's my challenge to you, is that whatever you're resisting right now, I invite you to get really honest with yourself. What are you really trying to avoid? By staying in safety, by staying in the things that don't serve you anymore. What is it that you're really getting? Because if you're staying in something that you don't like, you're staying there out of choice. And so what are you choosing instead of your divine embodiment? And when you can really get clear with that with yourself, that's when you're cooking with gas or a fire. So that's what I want to leave you with. And so yeah, if you were there at the live event day 1 today, day 2 is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for those who stepped in. And if you are curious with the discussion we had today around really stepping into your power, really transforming your fear, and you are connected with your purpose, and you are ready to level up, and you're committed to what that can look like for you, then I invite you to DM me your powerful Lightworker purpose, and we can talk about it. In the meantime, though, I hope this was really helpful to you, because we were going there with all the juicy stuff. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful rest of the week, and much love, light, and power to you.